My name is Stephanie, I'm in the 6th grade, and I learned a lot about my neighbors in the Coachella Valley who are only 2.5 hours east from my home. Last summer I went to Duraville to give school supplies and books to the poor, and where we went there wasn't really paved, it was just dirt roads. The trailers were really run down and some didn't even have air conditioning, and there was dogs running everywhere, and some kids looked really sad. But when we gave them the books, they looked really happy. I felt happy because I knew that they had something for their education. Well, now we gave that to them, and I think that that's going to help them succeed in school.
Now, my name is Tom Flynn. I was appointed by the United States District Court as one of the receivers for the slum mobile home property known as Duraville out here in Thermal, California, about 45 miles east of Palm Springs. It's in the middle of a big agricultural area that extends from this area near Indio all the way down to the Mexican border.
Anytime you go to the supermarket and you buy your food, and I'm not just talking about the fruits and the vegetables, but all of the other commodities that you find in your supermarket, you should think about the people that live in Duraville. Because without them, you don't have your canned fruits, you don't have your milk, you don't have your meat products, you don't have the fruits and vegetables that you eat every single day.
And when you consider how important the population of places like Duraville are, they pick our food. And as long as we all insist on eating food, we're going to need farm workers.
Agriculture is still the second leading industry in Riverside County. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and without farm workers, you don't have an agricultural industry. The only industry larger than agriculture is tourism.
When I was young, every school child in California had to read John Steinbeck, Grapes of Wrath, about the farm worker conditions in the Kern County, lower San Joaquin Valley. In those days, the farm workers were from Oklahoma. They were treated very, very badly, and they had the same issues of substandard housing, working conditions that were not good. In the 50s, you had Edward R. Murrow, one of the most famous journalists of all time in television.
They are the migrants, workers in the sweatshops of the soil,
who did a whole series called Harvest of Shame. And it was exactly the same issues, now 20 years after Steinbeck. Workers in the fields being taken advantage of. And it goes up through the 60s and the end of the Becerra program and all of the issues, particularly here in California. And we have many of the same issues. So when you look at the surrounding area of Duraville, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of square miles of huge farms. And almost all the crops out here, including the table grapes, need to be picked by hand. There aren't tractors or some mechanical way to do the work. So we're 100% dependent on human beings picking food the same way they did 50 years ago, the same way food was picked and harvested 100 years ago.
In the Coachella Valley, there's this huge contrast between one of the richest places per capita in the nation, right there in Palm Springs, and then just a few miles from there, you have workers that are living in poverty, that have the worst working conditions possible, where a woman died last year of heat stroke.
Imagine if everyone helped families like these. What kind of world do we really want? If we should be providing to people who provide for us.